Before God lifts, he breaks. Before he anoints, he tests. Before he sends someone to carry his glory, he leads them through the fire, not because he wants to see them suffer, but because he desires them to be strong enough to carry what he's about to place on them. When God is going to use you for something great, he will not let you walk into it unprepared. You will go through trials. You will walk through valleys where your prayers seem to echo in silence. You will face seasons where you feel forgotten, hidden, misunderstood, even crushed. But it is in these very moments that God is forming the foundation of your calling. Think of Joseph, betrayed by his brothers, sold into slavery, wrongly imprisoned. But it was in the dungeon that God was shaping a ruler. Moses spent 40 years in the wilderness before he could lead Israel out of Egypt. David was anointed as king, but spent years hiding in caves before sitting on the throne. Over and over, God's pattern is this: before promotion, there is preparation. Before the crown, there is the cross. Before the blessing, there is the breaking. The test is never to destroy you. It is to prove what is within you. It is to purify. It is to remove pride, fear, selfishness, and anything that would collapse under the weight of the destiny God has prepared for you. If your calling is heavy, your testing will be deep, because God doesn't give shallow roots to towering trees. And when God tests you, it's not just about endurance. It's about refinement. He's teaching you to rely on him, not on others. He's training you to walk by faith, not by sight. He's preparing your heart to remain humble when you stand in the place of influence. The fire that feels like it's burning you now is the same fire that will later protect you from being burned out when others depend on you. So if you're in the fire, don't curse it. If you're in the pit, don't lose heart. That delay is not denial, it's development. That breaking is not punishment, it's preparation. That silence is not abandonment, it's sacred shaping. God sees what you cannot, he knows who you are becoming. And he is not wasting a single tear, not a single sleepless night, not a single moment of your pain. When the test is complete, you will rise not as a victim, but as a vessel, not just with a story, but with authority. You will walk in rooms you never dreamed of. You will speak and chains will break. You will lead others out of the same darkness you once endured, and when that moment comes, you will know it was worth every moment of the testing. Because God never uses anyone greatly until he tests them deeply. And if you're being tested deeply, it's a sign that he's about to use you mightily. Before any elevation, there is always a process of preparation. That preparation does not come in the form of ease or comfort, but in the form of struggle, silence, and often a sense of delay. The path to purpose is not a straight line. It is a winding road filled with tests that are designed not to break you, but to ready you. Many wonder why their prayers aren't being answered immediately, or why the door they hoped would open remains shut. It is because the blessing they are waiting for requires a version of themselves that has not yet been fully formed. This season of waiting, the time of uncertainty, the trials that come one after another, these are not accidents. They are sacred tools of preparation. Every calling carries a weight, and if the vessel is not strengthened, the weight will crush instead of empower. That is why the delay exists, not to deny the promise, but to prepare the person. Look at the patterns across time. Those who were chosen to lead were first called to endure. They were tested in isolation before they were trusted with influence. It's in the quiet moments when no one sees, when the spotlight is nowhere near, that the deepest growth takes place. The roots grow stronger when hidden underground. No one claps for a seed buried in dirt, but the fruit that comes from it later becomes nourishment for many. During this preparation, humility is developed. Pride is stripped away. Patience becomes a discipline. Trust becomes a lifestyle. And above all, dependency on God becomes non-negotiable. Those who are being prepared learn that they cannot rely on their own strength. They realize that every opportunity, every breakthrough, every platform must come not by manipulation, but by divine timing. That kind of maturity cannot be taught in ease. It is learned in trials, and the more significant the assignment, the more necessary the preparation. So when doors don't open, when progress feels slow, when others seem to be moving ahead while you remain still, remember you are not being left behind, you are being set apart, you are being carved and molded. The waiting room is not a place of punishment, it is a place of transformation. You may feel like you are stuck, but in reality, you are being shaped for something greater than you can now understand. And when the time comes, when the season shifts and the doors finally swing open, you won't walk through them unprepared. You will walk through them equipped, refined, and ready, not because the path was easy, but because the preparation was complete. The trials that come into a person's life often feel like punishment, but in truth, they serve as a refining fire. They are not meant to destroy, but to purify. Fire removes impurities, and in the same way, life's hardships burn away the things that hinder growth: pride, impatience, fear, selfishness, and even doubt. These challenges are not signs of divine rejection, but of divine investment. They reveal that something precious is being prepared. A soul that is called to greater purpose cannot be left in its raw form. It must be refined through discomfort, through pressure, and through perseverance. Painful experiences force a person to confront who they really are. They reveal the motives of the heart and expose the weaknesses that could sabotage destiny. It is through such revelation that transformation begins. What once seemed unbearable becomes the very instrument that matures character. What once felt like a curse becomes the fire that tempers a fragile will into a strong resolve. It's easy to speak of faith when life is simple. But faith is proven in the fire. Trust is forged in the furnace. Real strength is not displayed in comfort, but in the ability to stand when everything around you says you should fall. Every great purpose requires deep internal stability. Without it, the pressure of responsibility would be too heavy to carry. This is why the refining fire is necessary, not because one must suffer to be worthy, but because one must be strong to endure what comes with greater influence. Influence attracts resistance, purpose invites attack, and only a refined heart can stay steady in the midst of both applause and opposition. The fire teaches how to remain grounded when elevated. It teaches how to remain focused when distracted. It teaches how to carry something sacred without becoming consumed by pride or bitterness. Though the fire feels harsh, it is filled with mercy. It is God's way of saying, "I love you too much to send you unprepared." The very trials that seem unbearable are the ones shaping the future. There is wisdom in the waiting, strength in the suffering, and clarity in the confusion. The fire teaches lessons that ease never could. It draws out the hidden strength that would otherwise remain undiscovered. It causes a person to lean not on their own understanding, but to rely entirely on divine guidance. Eventually, when the fire subsides, what emerges is not the same person who entered it. There is a new resilience, a new confidence, and a new clarity of purpose. The scars do not tell a story of defeat. They mark survival and growth. The person who has walked through fire and remained faithful is no longer shaped by fear, but by courage. And when the time comes to walk into the fullness of their calling, they will do so with the quiet power of someone who has been tested, refined, and made ready. There is a sacred mystery in how pain becomes the very tool used to awaken purpose. What feels like loss is often a redirection. What feels like betrayal is often protection. The moments that shatter expectations are often the very moments that reshape identity. When someone is called to something greater, they are often led through deep valleys, not because they have failed, but because they are being formed. It's in those moments, when the heart is broken, when the future looks uncertain, and when trusted people walk away, that something eternal is being stirred. It is not punishment, it is preparation for purpose. Pain humbles in a way success never can. When everything is stripped away, when there is nothing left to lean on but faith, a deeper strength begins to rise. It's not the strength of pride or self-confidence, but the quiet, unshakable strength of someone who knows what it means to walk through fire and still believe. It's in the silence, the isolation, and the tears that a person learns who they really are. They discover that their worth is not in their achievements or their reputation, but in their perseverance and in their unseen obedience. Pain doesn't just expose weaknesses, It awakens gifts. It peels back the layers of distraction and draws attention to what truly matters. Some of the greatest revelations come from the darkest moments. In the struggle, clarity begins to rise, priorities shift. The things that once seemed important begin to fade, and the things of eternal value begin to shine. It's in this space that vision is born. Purpose is not something that's stumbled upon in comfort. It's uncovered in the trenches. It grows in the soil of disappointment, in the fields of confusion, and in the storms of heartbreak. What begins as a cry of "Why me?" eventually becomes a declaration of "Thank you for using me." Each pain becomes a lesson, each wound a testimony, and over time, a person sees that none of it was wasted. The rejection made room for right relationships. The loss taught compassion. The delay strengthened character. What once looked like devastation was actually construction. Something was being built in the ruins. Something beautiful was rising from the ashes. Not despite the pain, but because of it. Those who have been through pain and allow it to shape them into something better, not bitter, are those who walk in purpose with integrity. They lead with empathy, they speak from experience, they serve with compassion, they carry wisdom that can't be taught, only lived, and this is why the pain was never pointless. It was the forge in which destiny was formed. Not one moment of sorrow was wasted. It was all part of the transformation, the breaking that made room for the becoming. And now, what was once your greatest hurt may become someone else's greatest healing. That is the power of pain when placed in divine hands. There is a pattern in life that often goes unnoticed until one steps back to see it clearly. Those who are called to carry out great things usually walk through great testing. The deeper the calling, the deeper the refining. This truth is uncomfortable yet powerful. When someone is marked for something extraordinary, the path is rarely smooth. The trials they face are not random, they are intentional. They shape, sharpen, and solidify the person into someone capable of carrying the weight of their assignment. It's not the easy road that produces a warrior. It's the long, steep, and painful one. There is a reason why certain individuals endure more trials than others. It's not because they are forgotten, but because they are chosen. The intensity of the battle reflects the significance of the mission. When the storm is fierce, it's because the enemy is threatened by what's coming. But the trials are not just opposition. They are also training grounds. They teach endurance. They grow patience. They develop wisdom that cannot be gained from books or lectures, but only from life itself. And that kind of wisdom, earned through fire, is the kind that can lead others through storms with authority and grace. When someone is deeply tested, it often means they have been set apart, not in arrogance, but in purpose. Their journey is different. Their timeline doesn't look like everyone else's. They may feel delayed while others are celebrating. They may feel forgotten while others are recognized. But what they carry is sacred, and sacred things take time. Diamonds are made under pressure. Gold is purified in fire. Strong oak trees grow slowly. The depth of their testing is directly connected to the height of their destiny, and so, even in the waiting, something beautiful is being built. What feels like isolation is often consecration. Being hidden is not being rejected. It's being protected and prepared. The hidden years are not wasted years. They are where strength is developed in silence. When the spotlight isn't there, integrity is forged. When no one is clapping, motives are refined. It's in these quiet seasons that a person becomes rooted so deeply that when the winds come, they don't fall, they stand. And when the time comes for them to be seen, they shine with a different light, not one of performance, but of purpose.